Hello, beautiful beings. Love and laughter. Tanya Rainpours here. This video is for the energy sensitives, the empaths, the energy healers who know that they are sensitive to energy and they pick up energy from other people, but they don't quite really understand how it's processing, working, coming to be shown up in their bodies and their energy field. We're going to dig into 7 different little themes and ideas of the way that the energies can show up in our bodies. Now, with that being said, we're all going to be a little different. These are just generalizations. This is how I've experienced them in my body. So I'm sharing the experience to hopefully provide insight for you on how you might be picking it up. Maybe you're different. Maybe you're similar. Go ahead and put it in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're picking up people's energies and how you're being aware of how that works for you. Because, the more we can explore these ideas and dabble into them and see the common themes and what's repeating, we can help learn from each other and grow. Okay, so number 1, I'm going to read from my notebook here. Excuse me, because this is a channeled message here, and I really want it to be potent. Okay, so the first one is repeating words. Usually it's just like 1 or 2 words just repeating over and over and over again. You almost want to feel like you want to get away from it. Like it's a little repelling, but it will just like the word, you either hear it or you see it or you can feel it, you can feel things in different ways. But for me, I usually see it or hear a word over and over again. And now that I've noticed that pattern, I've started to, pick up on like, well, what's going on with that? Why is this word? And I think really what it is somebody has placed a lot of emphasis on this word or obsessed over it, or just really given it a lot of momentum. And so when we pick it up, it's like, well, what's with this word? Oftentimes the word, is revealing in itself, because usually there's words that self-explanatory. With trauma experiences, the word will stick out and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. But also I've seen, like specifically, I've picked up a energy and signature for somebody, and all I heard was the word stupid over and over again. And so to me, when I picked that up and I felt that power of that word, it felt like a limiting belief that they picked up somewhere that they now have ingrained in themselves and they think is theirs. They think it's part of them and they don't even know it necessarily. And the only reason I knew it was a limiting belief is because it told me. And I could see it reflected back at me through the actions of the person and the energy that I picked up from them. So be mindful of words that you might pick up and see what information they give you. It might be even helpful to have a journal to take notes on how you pick up energy and, how your body is picking up the sensations or experiences in different ways with your different senses. It can be very helpful. So let's move on to number 2. You might experience images and scenes playing out in your head. You might get just one very clear image, you see it in your mind's eye, and so you completely understand the energy you're picking up, or it might be very abstract and muddled. I picked up energy on somebody who had a C-section one time, and they hadn't quite processed the experience of it. It wasn't what they wanted. It was not the birth they wanted. And so I felt their discomfort with it, but then I also just saw this image of a knife and the knife cutting the midsection. So it was like a muscle memory trauma that they got cut open to have their baby out. So the image kept playing over this just over and over again until it processed through. You have to find a way to let it move through you once you've, made a connection with it. That's the thing with this energy thing. You can, get grounded in your own body and just let the energy move through you. Or sometimes we get emotionally invested in it before we even really know what we're doing, and then we got to process it for it to release. So over and over again, I just kept seeing that knife cutting down there where you would have a C-section. And then, so understood once I picked that up from that person, because I knew what they'd just gone through, and then I understood this was the trauma experience that they went through that was moving through. And so after that was processed, immediately I started seeing correspondences with the situation of how they had moved through their stuckness and went on. It's kind of remarkable to see how our energies can work like that. Mine personally, I help people get unstuck emotionally, and I think that's probably a pretty common theme for us empaths, energy sensitives, and energy healers. You know, we're all about the emotions and the energy, and we help process it through when people have them stuck. So that was number 2. Now let's move to number 3. Sensations in the body. Just any different kind of feelings, like it feeling in the body. Like maybe your root, you have a burning sensation, or you have a heavy energetic sensation down in your root center. Or maybe you feel it in your sacral chakra. Or maybe you feel tingling in your third eye. These feelings sometimes are a little bit more cryptic. You can feel in those areas they, 1, maybe have stuck energy. 2, maybe they have too much energy, or maybe 3, they have not enough energy there. And then also maybe that information is just telling you there's something there that can be explored. So that's 3 sensations in the body. Hearing thoughts and phrases. Hearing thoughts and phrases, again, this repeating thing, because they've given these energies that we pick up, they've given a lot of energy to, and so it's fused when we get it. And so when it's playing over and over again, it's because they've experienced it over and over again, and that's the energy signature of what they're putting out here. And so this phrase or these thoughts will be replaying. You'll hear, sometimes you'll pick up on their actual thoughts, and you'll just hear like a little bits of conversation or what they're thinking to themselves. Sometimes I see words, sometimes I just hear the words. Sometimes I'll just hear a phrase over and over again. And again, when I hear the phrases, that is kind of a clue for me saying that that's negative self-talk or a limiting belief. Because again, I've experienced it several times, and that's usually the energy that it picks up from it, but it might be different from you. And I would love to hear in the comments what you pick up. This is very fun and fascinating. So that's number 4. Bits and pieces of memory. You might get bits and pieces of a memory where you are straight up in their body and seeing it from their eyes. Or you feel like that you're in their body, but you're in your own. See how this can get very confusing? This is why I'm sharing this. You know, I used to swim around in the confusion for a long time until the clarity just started coming. So you're experiencing the energy that you've picked up from them has put you into their body, and you're seeing it through their eyes. So like you might see them doing something, or you might see something happening to them. Whatever the energy is trying to communicate, we'll be communicating that through a memory, bits and pieces of memories. Maybe you will have a couple different memories that are related but not quite. Sometimes the memories make sense and you can form an idea of what's going on with them. Other times it doesn't. I remember picking up a traumatic experience from somebody, and I would see bits and pieces of like a couch or a TV or like certain parts of like a place they were at, but it didn't make sense. Like I didn't know what was going on really, or, you know, these are like subconscious imprints that were picked up. And so now I'm getting a piece of it. So, you know, it's not always going to be very, you know, practical. We're dealing with the subtle energies here, and the subconscious is more, you know, computer orientated, and it just picks up things, and then here you go, you're experiencing them. All right, let's see here. So that's number 5, bits and pieces of memory. So now let's go to number 6. And number 6 is having a full body mind, soul experience with somebody's energy. I've had this a couple times when somebody had a traumatic experience. Usually it's trauma. When trauma shows up and I've seen it and I'm, into it, I get a full-on experience. So I got a text message from a family member, something traumatic happened to them, and immediately, as soon as I read it, it just went into my heart and I cried for them because I had love and compassion for them, and I could feel the pain of the situation. It seemed scary, and they were probably not knowing how to deal with it. They had this traumatic experience and they're just like, what just happened to me? And I felt it. And I felt that what just happened to me, that scary, dramatic experience. Because, when you're in it, it's like, so much oscillating dynamics of energies going on when something traumatic is happening and you just don't even know where to start sometimes. And so I felt that for them. I felt the traumatic experience. I felt where they were feeling it in their body. And I just felt a lot of sadness for them. And, it was just a short moment. But after I had experienced it, immediately I got a text and I could see how the experience had moved for them just by me experiencing it for them, processing it for them initially. And so it's, a huge wake-up call. You're like, whoa, okay, so this is kind of the power of the gift, Sometimes that's how it happens. I was not expecting that, and granted, I clear my energy every day to stay like an open vessel, and I've started picking up less energy and just reading it, but every once in a while still there's one to be processed, and then I'm like, okay, now I got to come back to myself. I got to cleanse myself and clear my energy out. But you know what? That's part of the gift. Sometimes it does happen. Okay. So that was number 6. Now let's move to number 7. Number 7. I know a lot of these are already really kind of similar. They're just points that stuck out to me from my experience. So combined them, not add some more, whatnot. But again, it's just to get you familiar with how the sensations are showing up for you, how you're experiencing other people's emotions in your body as well. So number 7 is physical symptoms. This is more related to like dis-ease, illness, and being sick, like taking on other people's sickness or disease, or you might just be experiencing an imprint of what they're experiencing in their body when you connect with them. And now, what do I mean symptoms of the body? Well, if somebody's having a cold, you say you're talking to somebody on the phone and you're like, hey, what's going on? They're like, oh, I've got a cold, I'm all stuffy. Sometimes you can pick up on that, or sometimes you can pick up on symptoms in your body that they haven't experienced yet, or they're about to. My husband broke his ankle several years ago and he had surgery on it. And I started feeling a little of those symptoms in my leg once in a while. And so that usually tells me, one, maybe his spot where he had his surgery has some energy that it's moving, or it's doing some healing, or there's some stuck energy there. So pay attention to the symptoms, because they can tell you things about what's going on with the body, but not all the time. All these things I've shared with you, not all the time clearly, but the more you get in tune with what's going on and feeling into it and seeing it and witnessing it and observing it, the more you're going to start making sense of it for yourself. So I really hope that these 7 insights about picking up other people's energy has been very helpful for you. Again, I want to invite you to go ahead and put anything in the comments about this, how you pick things up, how you've noticed the energy can show up, any sensations you feel, any thoughts. How does it pick up for you? Maybe you don't see it. Maybe you only feel it. Maybe you taste it. Maybe you smell it. I know some people do that, and sometimes I do smell things. Like, I've smelt somebody's, like, an apple chapstick, and then, like, a day or two later, somebody will be putting on apple chapstick. Or, you know, there's just so many different ways that you can pick up things from different people and energies and stuff. So I hope this has been helpful. Let's get in the comments and open up about this. This is a really cool idea of learning from how the different sensations in our bodies and our energy fields show up, and tell us about what we're picking up from other people. It also teaches us how to, you know, handle our own body and what's going on in there, so it's not as scary. So until the next video, I really appreciate you showing up. Tanya Rainforest here. I'll catch you later.